What they did at the Olympics in Athens?
Leroy. Asner. Sept. Carter. Lauren. And Jason!
Birthday to you. And many more.
Okay, before I blow out the candle, I have one thing to say. Before I blow out the candle, I have one thing to say.
Vanilla swirl. I did that for
No. Before I blow it out, I have one thing to say. What's wrong with you people? I hate chocolate. No. Hey! Oh! What did you do that for?
All right, let's put it down. Who cares?
She laughed.
Stop laughing so loud.
Stop laughing so hard. You ruined my cake.
What would you do that to Shane? What would you do that to? Rude.
No, that's actually better. That's funny. Did somebody get that on camera?
No.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta
do
get
it.
the phone.
I'm
gonna be 21 tomorrow.
You did.
You had it custom made.
Yes.
Okay, and who's the first slice going to?
You. Oh, not too big. Come on.
No, right here.
All right, go ahead.
Right there.
No one is older than
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Who's the oldest guy here?
Not me.
You're the oldest.
Great stuff. Hey, look. Go ahead. Hey. I shouldn't be in front of your
Son of a
face.
bitch cost me $20.
Oh, it's
It's a little like Dracula.
Susan.
Yes, hello. Let him butt. Okay, guys, take pictures.
Don't feel.
Let him see the bruise. We gotta see the bruise. All
Oh.
right, honey. Let him just do this.
Ooh.
Okay, that's all. Come on. We need to see it. Come on. You're an actress.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
I'm acting.
Yeah, you are. All right, well, just stay still for now.
All right.
Okay?
Do it again, Benjamin. This is blurred out.
Benj, go ahead. They want another. Sue, we need a little closer. Get a little closer.
No.
Let him stay.
The breakfast over first. The first thing we have at the breakfast.
I know, Fo. Do you like it?
Yeah.
Huh? Did you like it?
Good.
What about you, Abby?
You get your lines. That's how you done.
Ah. Oh. All right.
Senseless self-slaughter of a lunatic, arrogant passion of a fanatic. I know that history at all times draws strangest consequence from remotest cause. But
for every evil, every crime, every sacrilege, crime long and the axe's edge. You and you must all be punished. So must you. Now, my good angel, whom God appoints to be my guardian, hover over the sword's points. And after that, the knights come in and they kill it.
We are, not at all.
It's priceless what we just saw.
I'm going to open up the floor. Where's the microphone? Where's our microphone? Let's pass it. Let's start down
With your son,
Shay.
Charles.
Really?
Uh-huh. And I had actually no idea that you were his father. At the time we were in high school together, he was very interested in movies, and I could see why. And my question is he still interested, and how are you helping him along with that?
Now, so you were with him about what age?
About like 15, 16.
That was after he left Cal Poly.
Oh.
And he came to Village Glen. He was only there for about a year.
Yeah, he was there for a very short time.
Then he went to Chicago to the Sonia Shankman. Used to be, it doesn't matter. And he spent about 3 years there, and he came to like Chicago and enjoyed it. Then came back home, went to, I can't even remember the university up north that he went to. What's the name of it? Damn it.
Evergreen.
Evergreen, yeah. There wasn't enough of a control system there.
Mm-hmm.
And with his autism, that's what he needed. So he left there early, took a few classes at Santa Monica, and then we heard about this wonderful place in New Haven called Chapel Haven. So we sent him to Chapel Haven, and he's been there for about 3 years. The first 2 years was just Chapel Haven, but now he's kind of overseen by Chapel Haven, but he is about a year away from getting his degree at the University of Southern Connecticut.
Wow, that's great.
Now, what about you?
Well, I'm about to transfer to Mount St. Mary's for film.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, good, good.
Well, it's good to hear that he's doing good.
My daughter Kate went to, what was the name?
Leola.
Loyola, Marymount. So it's about in the same area, I guess. And she majored in drama. But good luck to you.
Thank you.
What is your name again?
Shaylin. Shaylin?
How do you spell it?
Shailynn. So it's Shay and Lynn.
Shaylin.
Yes.
And your last name?
Shirley.
Shirley?
Yes, that's Shirley.
Shirley.
Yes.
Shirley, Shaylin Shirley.
Yes.
That's easy to remember.
Oh, you're
I'll tell
the first one.
I'll tell Charlie I saw you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
sorry I didn't stick with you. You're a handsome piece of goods.
Hey, Adam Denzer, you get the phone.
An audience, see how it worked. So we did it, and the show didn't get laughs. They couldn't figure out what to do to make it work. And we decided to go out there on Friday night way the hell up. Well, in that first scene, you'll recall, I'm hiring Mary. She's just come to Minneapolis. So I get out there. I don't know what happened. But I'm asking her these questions. The scene seems to be getting laughs as we go along. Working okay. And then finally I say, because she gets my questions confused and gives the wrong answers to the right questions. She finally gives me a smart-ass answer. And I look at her and I say, you know what? You got spunk. And she goes, I hate spunk. Well, we had an audience of 300 people, and they roared with laughter. At that time, I felt I could command those 300 people to march off a cliff, and they would have done it for me. That's how much power I had. And from there on, the show just soared. Wonderful.
It was a great show. My parents loved it too. It was a great show.
Right.
My parents really loved it.
I want you to love it.
We actually have it on the bulletin board show.
They wanted me to ask you the same question.
Yeah.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
I'm still working on it. If I can get up a little crash fund, maybe you could contribute to it if you have a few extra shekels.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But I would think that I would either, archaeology appeals greatly to me, or oceanography, somewhere in there. I want to, because I'll feel less fat in the ocean. But archaeology doesn't draw much of a crowd. You know, both of them seem safe, and but unfortunately, you got to go to college for both of them. And as you can find out, the call of the wild of theater was my siren song away from college, meeting my requisites.
Get a couple of young assistants and in the desert.
Those two in the back?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Hey,
Just
watch it.
Okay, so, you know, I grew up watching Mary Tyler Moore and, you know, numerous other shows by James Burrows. You know, Taxi, Bob Newhart. Yeah, and...
Pretty wise. I think they separated them.
Right. So what I wanted to ask is, how did you first get started with SAG? And how did you get involved? And you know, how did you become president?
Well, in those days, the unions were pretty good. I am very opposed to the recent merger of SAG and AFTRA.
Right.
I think it will dilute the union, and we will lose our clout power. SAG worked assiduously for so many years.
Right.
While I was still in Chicago, where I was acting with a company, I decided when I could or where I could to join both unions there. Get it out of the way, and by the time I would get to New York, I'd have my union cards in my pocket, SAG and AFTRA, as well as equity. I was already equity. Through equity, having an equity card, I was able to join SAG and AFTRA in Chicago. So I arrived in New York fully loaded with union cards and eased my way as much as possible. So what specifically about SAG did you want to know?
Well, you know, how did you become president, and then how did the merger come about?
I murdered my opposition. Every time talking about union politics, man.
The usual way.
Yeah, I'm interested in how, how you got to the top,
Okay, we gotta go back. Slummed around doing various jobs where I could. Finally heard some of my peers from high school, etc., were working at the Buick Oldsmobile Pontiac plant in Kansas City, which was an open shop union. I went there, this was 49, it was 49, and, oh boy, the cars were coming, I swear to God, I think they were coming off the assembly line around 70 an hour, 70 cars an hour, or close to it. We had to work like slaves to do what we had to do. So I pitched in, I tried to quit the first day. I couldn't find the foreman, so I felt pity for my fellow workers on the line and jumped back in until lunch, and lunch restored me. So I decided to finish the day. During the day, I would jump off to keep running to the water fountain because I was dripping wet to get water. And finally the foreman, I looked like Uriah Heep, red-haired, thin, scraggly. Asner! Where you going? Want to get a drink? You don't get a drink till you get out of the hole. So I got back up, then I tried to quit, couldn't find him. So I kept on working and trying to alleviate the pressure on my fellow workers. I lasted there 6 months. Finally was convinced to come back to Chicago and do Brutus and Julius Caesar. Did that, and I started a train of doing shows at the university from then on. In the meantime, I still had to get jobs. I worked at this, I drove a cab, I sold over the TV advertising over the phone. It was a failure at everything. Sold shoes. Finally took a job in the steel mills in Gary. And they gave me a job called hooker helper. It's not funny. And it was boring. And working in the steel mills was boring. Other than the death notices, that's all the only excitement that took place. And then I heard about the kind of money that was being made at the Ford plant in Chicago. And I had vowed never to go back to an auto plant. Never. But at $1.90 an hour, making $1.30 an hour at the steel mill, I couldn't afford to pass up that kind of money. So I went to the auto plant. They put me on metal finishing. And I stayed there 10 months. And then went home to take my brother's place at the junkyard while he took a vacation. And then I got drafted for Korea. Just kidding. I'm fine. But putting the open shop plant in Kansas City behind me and then working at a union shop in Chicago, night and day difference. And I became a union man forever. I will always be grateful for that lesson learned. So I was delighted to be a union actor. I was delighted to be the SAG after, whatever. And then I became affiliated with a bunch of rebels of the union, who were not happy with the way the union was being run. Kent McCord was one of them. Bert Freed was another, you don't know. Kent McCord, you might know. Who else? I can't remember who else. So I became affiliated with these guys. Dennis Weaver was elected president in the 70s. And he was a great man, a good actor, an excellent actor, and a wonderful, wonderful union president. And that broke the back of the conservatives who had controlled the union all the way along. Kathleen Nolan followed him. I can't remember who else was in there. And then in 1980, we went on strike. The union went on strike. Bill Shollick was president. The independents I was affiliated with were not happy with the way he conducted himself. So when he ran for re-election, I had appeared on TV for the union during the strike and acquitted myself well. They talked me into running against Bill as president. And amazingly, I won. And that brought me into 4 years of union presidency. And because they never, you know, it's like the Republicans pursuing Clinton or Republicans pursuing Barack Obama. They never stop. They have 9 lives. You gotta kick them, kick them, kick them, and make sure their ashes are burned until they disappear. And that's the same way with the conservatives in the actors union. And they have now reasserted themselves and they control the union.
Which one did you like doing the most?
Now, as I tried to tell you earlier, there have been epiphanies in every area that I've worked. I love the challenge of doing books. I did Conversations with God with Ellen Burstyn. Did a series, about 4 books. And the guy I had working as my God, I was tripping on myself out of enjoyment. Just having the dialogue that I was able to give and doing it. So that be it narration, be it participation in a book such as that nature, be it, with animation, you usually don't get that much of a speech to carry yourself away with. You hope for that precious moment when you give a line, get a line, give a line, and it builds the moment. I mean, let's face it, the 10-minute sequence or whatever it was with him and his wife at the beginning of the film is silent. And yet it's one of the most touching filmmaking moments you could ever find.
Yeah.
So dialogue you're not going to find necessary. And during the course of my doing one of the producers came back about midstream and said that the animators were very delighted with the choices I was giving them. I gave them a variety, and they loved it. So until it's all sealed, signed, and delivered, you can't see what you've really done. I saw Up 3 times. The first time with 3D, and I really wasn't carried away. I had no idea what we had there. The second time was 2B. It was brighter, lighter, and I guess my angst had diminished because I could, for the first time, really sit there and enjoy my movie. And these surprises come all the way along. All of them. Granny Goodness was a bit of experimentation here, but and then the collaboration of writer, animator, and actor. It takes it all. It needs it all.
And I just want to say one last thing, that I really am an admirer of your voice work. I'm pretty good at doing voices myself.
Thank you. We're right at the air. We'll work together.
And I have a question. The Lou Grant character, you go from a sitcom. Whose decision was it? Did you have anything to say about it when you went from a sitcom to an episodic? You won Emmys for that too, the first and only actor ever. But whose decision was it to make Lou Grant an hour show as opposed to a sitcom?
When the series was ending, my agent went to CBS and said, well, what do you say? You want to take him and run with him for something else, or shall we seek work elsewhere? They said, no, we want it, we want it. So they said, do a series. So I had a marvelous time with MTM, went to Grant and said, we got the series to do. I would like Alan, because I thought I'd just slop over into another half-hour comedy. So I said I'd like the producers, Alan Burns and Jim Brooks, to be my producers, because I trusted them. So they said, okay. So a month or two went by, and finally they came in and said, we think we'd like to keep Lou, but we want to expand it into print, make it a print. And the best way to do that would be an hour show, which would mean a dramedy at best, laughs maybe, but you'd have to do that at home. No audience, single camera, and let's see what we do. And because I was so goddamn naive, I could find it. I always thought, 30 minutes more, yeah. So we start off, and I think they assembled the best cast ever assembled for a show. And Rebecca Balding was replaced, which was disappointing to me because I loved her, but she was not performing well. And Linda Kelsey was brought in, who was magnificent. So we start off, and nobody affiliated with that show had ever done an hour series before. Never done it. Producers, co-producers, writers, nobody. Crew, nobody had done an hour show before as a series. So we start off, mistakes are made, people are fired, people are hired, and we finally I'm worried like mad. There's no 3 cameras. There's no audience to laugh at me. There's nobody to laugh. Can't laugh. It's a serious show. It's a new medium. We finally open. I'm in therapy at the time. One day at the other guy saying, well, did you see the show? To my psychoanalyst, I said, yeah. I said, what'd you think? He said, why do you grimace so much? Oh my God. I grimace? And I realized that every time I did a line that could get a laugh, if there were an audience, I would do this grimace so that the people at home could laugh comfortably. And I thought, you schmuck. You're doing a gratuitous facial tick. I stopped that immediately. I suffered through the first 13. Finally came to the second 13, and our ratings were shitty. Really shitty. Came to the second 13. The whole time, the producers, my director Jay Sandrich from the comedy Mary Tyler Moore, all said, now, you're the only thing down there that brings on the past, that retains the past. You're Lou Grant. You gotta keep it. You gotta keep the show on. You gotta be that Lou Grant. 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 Like a dog in the window. So finally, Lou Grant, the comedian, I based in my mind on my two older brothers, full of bombast, pomp, and circumstance. Clever bastards. I couldn't do that with the conscience-stricken Lou Grant of the Hour Show. I said, screw that shit. I'm going to read these scripts and I'm going to play them out of my gut. I did that, and I found my comfort level, and we went on for 5 years.
And I'm not saying it because you're here, but for me, as a one-time actor and writer and everything, I thought that that was one of the brilliant, incredible transitions, because from when you were so popular and that show was iconic, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and to have to come back and put this man into a different place, to me was one of the most brilliant things I had ever seen. And looking at your resume and everything, it brought back to mind, for me, how brilliant it was. So I'm not saying it because you're here, Ed. And I try to explain to my group as writers, as actors, and as film people, the incredible confidence it took for you to take that man and hear all those laughs that you did week by week by week, and have that same character, and then have to go through this transition. To me, I thought was incredible. So I just want to applaud you for what you did.
A lot of that is due to my naivete.
Don't ever lose it.
We're doing it. The writers say, yeah, okay.
We have time for one more
wanted
question.
me to tell you that C said hi. So I got one question though.
She owes me money.
All right. So how?
Simple hi won't do it.
So how do you enjoy your role as Carl Fredricksen and Santa Claus and from Up and Santa Claus from the regular show?
I love both characters. I love both of them. Up is, I call it a double love story.
Aww.
He starts off loving his wife, and he ends up loving the kid. And nothing could be nicer than to have that circle effect take place. I love doing Santa Claus because they showed him warts and all. He talks about don't eat the chewing gum on the bottom of the label. Yeah, you got stuff like that coming from Santa Claus. I think that's wonderful.
Well, on behalf of everyone here at Inclusion Films, Shailene has a little something here.
Oh, there's some movies inside the T-shirt, and so it's just our little.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm sure the kids have a lot of fun.
I'm sorry. John. I know John could do. I know you could make it, John. Come on.
I got $20 on you, John. That's it. He's stuck. That's it. He's stuck. This is the whole course. I got $20 on him. He's gonna do it in the next. He's gonna finish in 30 seconds.
Come on, John. You almost made it.
Is this parkour?
It's an absolute. This is advanced parkour. All right, John.
Go behind.
Yep.
Crossing.
I need a sandbag here. That's like one light, and that's the other light. So when I lower it, now you see the spot.
Yeah.
Correct. So who's got this slate? Where's the AD? And where's the slate?
Oh, all right. Put that on as part of it.
Sean, remember soft sticks.
Who's working?
Okay.
Is Mia comfortable with that?
I can't see.
Yeah. Did you make sure none of your hair touches the mic?
Did you put the mic on here?
No, that was Alfredo's.
Is the mic on?
Yeah, it's on. Good. Just make sure none of her hair touches the mic, because that causes. That's very odd.
Right? Yeah. You don't tell the people what you do. Ever. That's how you do it. Sound is good. If it isn't good, you tell me or somebody else.
Tell the director.
So.
Puts it all the way in well. Take a little bit of powder. I'm going to use, for this one, the number 720 powder brush from Mud. Dab that on. Mix it all the way in. Then, just the brush. We're gonna prime all over her eyes. You're gonna help the shadows to stick to. We're gonna work this way back and forth. You don't want any harsh lines, because we're gonna get rid of it soon. Now, further her lip gloss. I'm just taking some Lava Splash West Spritzers, Fruit Spritzers lip gloss by MAC, by CoverGirl. Squeeze that in. Then we're going to fill the lips. Paint them like that. Feel nice and shimmery. You don't want to shimmer, just a matte gloss.
And then if you don't see, after she does that, maybe you could just close it into the mirror so that we can,
Yeah. So,
Okay,
so who's the AD?
Okay, should I just go from the top?
Yeah, go.
Okay, is camera ready?
Ready.
Ready.
Roll camera.
Rolling.
Rolling.
Roll sound.
Sound speed.
Mark it. No mistake. Settle.
Set.
Action.
There you have it. Danny Bowman's Casual Everyday Makeup Look. So I'm Mia Montaigne. Thank you for having me here at Mia's Makeup Corner, here at Inclusion Films. We'll see you next time.
So long, everyone.
Jackie, you want to come with me and just keep this drape back?
This is attached to input one, and I'm hearing the crackling even more.
Also, just try to face the camera as well, right?
Now, look.
So Mia's is not
Still.
across.
Still generating static.
Mom? Grandpa's in the hospital.
Maybe we're getting feedback from some.
New phone. Watch this camera.
Yeah.
What's channel 2 coming from?
It's the buzzing.
No, I mean, what